Your favorite gacha content creators aren't who you think they are. But to explain that, I'm gonna have to roll it back about 1 week. Now, if you don't follow me on Twitter, you might not know that I spent the last week in Austin, Texas with 12 different gacha content creators. The good old US of A, baby. Some of the creators included in this are the infamous Saintontas, CaptinCabinetz, and of course, Tectone himself. But there was a whole cast of characters and great creators that I got to know more on a personal level, and it was a pretty eye-opening experience. So let's talk about what we learned over the past week and what that means going forward. So I arrived on Monday, drove down from Canada to Detroit, flew from Detroit into Austin, Texas itself, and I gotta say, it was a pretty semi-uneventful experience. I met Saint in the airport and then followed by, of course, John Umamusume himself, Rednew. Over the course of that Monday, the rest of the creators themselves arrived and we all stayed in an Airbnb together, and let's just say it was a little squishy. There were a few people that ended up sleeping on some couches over the course of the week, but we made it work. Everyone arrived on the Monday. We didn't have a lot of activities planned, but we did end up staying in at the Airbnb and having some fun together, which led to the infamous hot tub photo that did end up circulating around on Twitter. This is an absolute hilarious photo. For those of you who've seen this photo and didn't realize that I was in it, that's me, right there in the back. It's shoved in the corner between Amethyst and Rednew. It was a little squishy in that hot tub. We might have overflowed it a little bit, but we had a ton of fun in the Airbnb, having some drinks and fun together. On our second day, though, I got to go on a little private excursion with Itoma and another editor named Long Domu, and we got to go join Tectone and Itoma with getting some tattoos. Itoma got a really cool looking hand tattoo. Tectone got this really cool new Berserk tattoo. Also, very cool pieces. If you want to go see those, you can go check them out on their social media, of course. But we got to hang out at the tattoo shop. Afterwards, getting to go to Tectone's house. Got to have some drinks, hang out. I got to meet his cats, Aggie, Banjo, Simba, adorable cats, as well as meeting Sophia. Very lovely meeting all of them. It was a great time. But from there, we went out, got some dinner, and went out to an arcade called Round 1. And at Round 1, we had a really great time doing some of this shooting game. This is one of Tectone's favorite games that we were doing, is this big buckshot game. You can see actually that's Sophia in the background doing Dance Dance at the time as well. And it was a really good time. While we were there, I got to do some crane games and won my first ever figure, which that I then chose to give to my daughter because I thought it was absolutely adorable. I did end up winning a second one at a different time, but that's it's right here. It's a little bit out of focus, but that's fine. It doesn't really matter at that point. We're still talking about what happened over the course of the week. We spent some time at Round 1 and then eventually made the drive back from San Antonio to Austin. It was a long ass drive and we did that drive multiple times that week. On Wednesday, we went to a Texas barbecue place that was recommended by Tectone himself called Interstellar Barbecue. This has got to be some of the best Texas barbecue I've ever had before. I've been to Texas a couple times, had Texas barbecue a couple times. Last time was in Dallas, Fort Worth area. It was very delicious and had a great time at this shop. I gotta be honest, it was phenomenal. We showed up an hour before opening because this place is so popular. There's a line that can go all the way out and around kind of the plaza that you can find it in. So we showed up early, all of us in line there. You can see everybody. A good old collection of cast of characters. It'll take too long to list everybody off, but let me know in the comments who you recognize in this photo who was able to attend. It was a really, really good time. Delicious, absolutely delicious barbecue. Like I said, look at this brisket. Oh my soul, the lamb taco, absolutely phenomenal. This was not my plate. I'll be honest, I was an idiot and didn't take a photo of my own plate of food, but it had something very similar to this in terms of like a selection. So I figured the photo still worked. But honestly, some of the best barbecue I've ever had in my life. Now, after the barbecue, we had a little bit of time in between, went to a card shop, bought a few things, but we then went from there to a place called Activate. Activate, if you've seen these kind of the videos on social media of people going to these big laser games, this was a ton of fun. We were also joined by Braxophone here. Got to meet him for the first time. Really great dude. Really enjoyed spending some time with him, playing some games. We played that game specifically, and it was a ton of fun. But following up on this, we'd end up going back to our Airbnb where we played a game of Mafia, which was hosted by Tectone himself, and we had a really, really good time playing that. I killed Saintontas. I have zero regrets, Saint. If you see this video, we needed to get him off the playing field, and we did. He ended up being the detective, so it's absolutely worthwhile, but great day on the Wednesday. Taking us into Thursday, we actually were supposed to go to a firing range. Thank you, Age, for this hilarious photo. If you didn't know, Age is Canadian like myself, doesn't spend a lot of time around guns. So it was absolutely hilarious to see her in the shop. Probably one of my favorite people to watch over the course of time that we were around all of the guns. But unfortunately, this shop turned us away because they misunderstood some laws. They wouldn't let Canadians shoot, and I was getting pretty tilted about it. Don't get me started on the Canadian government because I'll get real pissed real fast. I'm not even kidding. It's too much. I got real fired up about it, but we got turned away. So we pivoted, and Thursday ended up being kind of like a card game shop tour that we did around Austin. We went to a bunch of different shops in a bunch of different areas, and we bought so many boxes of cards. And I say we, I just mean the whole group as a whole. This was just one of the times. Like, there was this huge Foundations box that Saint had picked up, and there was so many boxes of cards. Like, I think total, probably between the entire group, we spent like well over $1,000 on cards. Like, one person in particular, I won't say who, but you know who you are, spent probably close to $700 to $800 USD on boxes themselves. But everyone was buying boxes of cards, including myself. I'm a big Nikkei guy. I ended up buying a box of Nikkei cards. I'm gonna be honest, but we got a ton of different Magic cards, other collectible cards. It was really good. We went back to the shop so many times that we actually started to get to know the guy who was working there. We were showing him Red News Channel, the John Umumusame himself, because he was an Umumusame fan. He was playing it in the store. We showed him Red News Channel. We were getting him hooked on it. So, just spreading the word everywhere we go, getting everybody hooked. But we spent so many. There were some crazy hits on cards. Now, this is just a cool little collection of one-piece cards that I was able to get. There was a lot of people there like to collect cards. I don't collect cards. That's not like my normal thing. And so there were so many people who collected cards and didn't care about kind of like just like the typical rare cards, that they were just like giving them away to the rest of us. So I've got a whole collection of cards that I walked away with that I never expected to be the case as we were going out and doing that. You can see in the photo that was there that I got all these One Piece cards. A lot of these, I'm going to be honest, are going to be going to my brother. He is a huge One Piece fan in particular. Let's see how well the camera can see this. Come on. Got this really cool Ace card that came through that was like really awesome. Of course, we've got Zoro, a couple others as well. Really cool. You got to get some classic DBZ collectible cards. I got Goku and Krillin. Came out really cool, some really cool rare cards. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not even a big Hololive guy, but there was some Weiss Schwarz Hololive cards that were like extra. Got a whole collection of some rare ones of those now. Got a Murasaki Shion that I thought was absolutely adorable. I'm just like ranting about the cards that I got now, but I got a few more to go over quickly, so stick with me. Got this really cool foil Mori Calliope. We hard topped it because I was like, look how cool this looks. This is really the only Hololive character that I know well, a talent that I know really well and actually enjoyed. Of course, because almost every person there, excluding myself, still plays Umumusame. There was a whole collection of like Umumusame cards that were in there. There were some really cool rares that came out that I thought was really good. I really like Silent Suzuka, so like I was really happy about getting that. It was a really big pickup. My biggest hit, because like I said, I bought a Nikkei box, and actually I've got quite a few that came out in the top loader. I actually got a decent hit where I managed, in the first box that we got, I managed to get a $60 hit. So this Rapunzel Shangri-La card is about $60 if you were to sell it on eBay. Of course, I'm not going to sell it because it's just a cool little collectible now. But yeah, I got a $60 hit in my first box ever. So I might have a new card collecting addiction. The best one, though, by far the best thing that we picked up during that time is actually back on the Tuesday when we were hanging out with Tectone. He showed us one of his favorite card shops. And in that card shop, we saw there was a collectible box of SpongeBob trading cards. And the SpongeBob trading cards, I don't know what is going on with them. What is the meme surrounding these cards? But they were $450. USD. As a Canadian, that's like a 30% markup on. That's like a $500 box of cards for a chance to get some big hits. And now he did get some big hits. We went back to his house and we opened them. Honestly, it was a ton of fun. It was all total memes. And as a little parting gift, he did give me the elastic waistband Probably the most prized card in my possession now. So you probably won't see this, but Tectone, if you end up watching this video, man, I'm gonna keep this forever. This is absolutely means a lot to me. It was really good. But yeah, overall, great time. I've never seen people open so many booster packs of cards in my life. Also, shout out to Shinya and Itoma. They gave me a bunch of Pokemon cards to bring back for my kids, and I've been doing drafts with them, and they've been having a ton of fun with that. But moving on. That was my little side tangent about trading cards. I think I've got a new trading card addiction. Who knows? Maybe we start a trading card channel. But in addition to that, the really cool thing we got to do is playing some Magic. As you can see, that's Brax, who's chilling back there behind Age. We got to play a game of Commander with him. That was a ton of fun. Red News on the other side of Amethyst there. And it was a really good time. But the other really cool thing that we got to try, there was a new trading card game that dropped while we were there in Austin, and that is the League of Legends trading card game Riftbound. So we actually got to play some Riftbound, the new set that just came out for the first time, and it was a ton of fun. We ended up playing a couple of games. I played a game as Lux, got my butt kicked, played a game as Annie, and I won. So hey, W's over there. Riftbound, if you get a chance to try it, it's like really hard to get in like any stores right now, but if you can manage to get your hands on it, it's really cool. We got to open some boosters with that, got some cool hits. There was a set that card that we got that was a skin, very cool. Great time. I've never been around so many cards in my life, and when you're around this many people who are wanting to open cards, it's like you're around enablers. It's like being around drug dealers who are just like trying to get you to start doing drugs. People were trying to get me to open so many boxes of cards, and well, it worked. It did work one time. Really good time playing some Riftbound and doing that. That was Thursday. That takes us to Friday. And on Friday, we drove down from Austin to San Antonio. Of course, you got to stop and hit the Buc-ee's, because if you're in Texas, you go to a Buc-ee's, and we had a really great time making a pit stop there. Everybody getting to check it out for the first time. But we were driving down to San Antonio because we were doing a group watch party of going to see the Chainsaw Man movie with Tectone and Sophia, as well as some other creators as well. But Chainsaw Man movie, we don't have a group photo of that. It was a great movie. Had a great time doing it. Posted a tweet about it. I think there were some very slight pacing issues, but like it's accurate to the manga, so I can only hit them so hard. Phenomenal animation, acting, so sad. That show is just like a roller coaster of emotion every single time. But the movie itself, phenomenal. The Rize arc, get a chance to see it. Go watch it if you can. Really great movie. Then we went back to round one. So the first time we were at round one, it was just myself and Itoma and Longdomu hanging out with Tectone and Sophia. So we got to go back to round one where everybody else got to go in and do some crane games, because I had already been there earlier in the week. I didn't do a ton of the arcade at the time, but we did do some bowling, and we had a great time doing some bowling. Shout out to Dylan, who had the highest score of the night. It was the top three scores were myself, Longdomu, and Dylan. So Dylan had 116, I think. Longdomu had a 106, and then I finished off with a 104. And I gotta say, it was a ton of fun. We were playing teams, like one lane versus one lane. We had a pretty strong lead when we were opening up. We kind of started to fall off a little bit in the middle, and we were about tied. And then, of course, Tectone himself freaking clutched it, frame 10 with a strike, which managed to push their lane just over ours in the end. And so we did end up losing in the end, but that's fine. I was a top three scorer, so I take the W for myself on that one. Great time getting to spend with them, playing some bowling. It was a really good time. People were getting real tired at this point of the week. It had been a long week. We were hanging out late every night, and we kept going. So from the Friday takes us into the Saturday. We're getting towards the end of the week here. I'm sorry, my weekly recap is taking a long time to get through. We're going to get to the other part of it in just a second here. Saturday, the big thing on Saturday that we did is we did karaoke in the evening, and we had a lot of fun. I'm going to reserve some of the videos. I will let people choose if they want to post their own videos of their own karaoke experiences. I'm not going to out anybody like that. That's just rude. But it was a great time doing that, getting to hang out with everybody there. Of course, though, this was kind of like our send-off for the first person who was leaving from the trip, which was Amethyst. Amethyst was leaving the next Sunday morning super early, so I made sure to grab a quick pic with him. Honestly, Amethyst is such a good dude. Amethyst, if you watch this video, shout out, homie. You're a great dude. I had a really great time hanging out with you that week, and hope to see you again in the future. Of course, he lives across the pond, so that's probably not going to happen. But redemption. Earlier in the week, we had our gun range experience get canceled, but we did manage to book another time for another range itself on the Sunday, and that's where we went off to. Unfortunately, Ufi and her husband had left at this point, so they weren't able to join us, and a couple people were starting to get sick, but we went back to the range to have a great time. And of course, it was so good. I'm going to be honest. I had a ton of fun. These are some of the biggest caliber guns that I've had the opportunity to shoot. When you live in Canada, the only thing you're getting a chance to shoot is maybe some like 12 gauge shotguns for hunting or some little 22 rifles. You don't have a lot of big caliber guns that are very readily accessible, I would say, in Canada, at least not in a ton of areas. But we got to go through and shoot a few different things. Now, the things that we got to shoot, I forget the name of the initial handgun that we were shooting. We got to shoot a 9mm gun here. But we also got to shoot Shinya's. He had a Smith & Wesson Shield 9mm. That was a lot of fun as we were going through and shooting with that. We also got to shoot an MP5, an AR-15, and of course, we got to shoot Shinya's G-Force GFY. This was an opportunity. He gave me a full, I think it was like a full 9-round magazine, and I got to do just like a mag dump on it and had a great time just firing. This thing had so much kick, but it was hella fun to shoot. I gotta be honest, absolute hella fun to shoot. My favorite person to watch shooting, I'm gonna be honest, was Age, just because she's you know, a more petite person, and so seeing her holding this shotgun and like she did great with her posture, really leaned into it, but like the kick on it is just so hilarious, and her response is awesome. She did a great job, but probably the most entertaining person to watch for me overall. Of course, I collected my target. I was intentionally trying to shoot in the head, shoot in the crotch, and then tried to disarm the handgun on the left-hand side. I do still have this. I brought it back with me. I managed to squish it in my backpack. I traveled with a single backpack. It was crazy. But this is our nice little team photo that we had at the end there. We all got to hold the guns. We had good gun safety and proper use. Don't worry. Nobody was being too unhinged. But I forgot we also had a Mossberg 12 gauge shotgun. That was also very, very cool. But of course, this leads us to the end of the trip. That was the Sunday, which brings us to our Monday, in which we went back to the airport. A lot of us were flying out around similar times in the afternoon, some people later, but we all just decided to go together for our last little send-off. We were kind of the last of the crew that were all there, and that was the end of it. And I gotta say, it was a really phenomenal week getting to hang out with everybody here. If you saw this video or photo on social media, I think some people were tweeting it around. There's this really ridiculous photo of me holding a knife. I was cutting a lime and Cap runs up to me with the Polaroid and goes, "Oh, hold the knife and take a photo." And it's just absolutely hilarious. We played beer pong too. That was also a great time. Saint is very good, I'm not gonna lie. Saint and Ufi's husband were absolutely killing it. But overall, it was a really fantastic week getting to connect with other creators. But the whole premise of this video, you clicked it. These gacha creators are not who you think they are. And well, they're not. Who do you think they are? Guys, they're people. Now, wait, before you click off, like, I'm serious, like, hear me out for a second. I got to spend so much time with these creators, and it just really humanized everybody for me. A lot of these people I've considered friends for a long time now, like well over a year, that we talk regularly, you know, get into Discord calls, play games together with. But getting an opportunity to actually be together, present for the last week, and spend that time together has really just like humanized them and given me a new perspective on kind of content and work that they do. And I gotta say, it's really inspired me to want to get back and to keep grinding out content. It's one of the reasons for this video and wanting to get back in there and to share that experience. A lot of the creators that I was on the trip with work very hard. Not everyone was a creator. So other people were kind of like editors and also just work in the space. And I must say that every person that I met, whether it was Shinya, Braxophone, Cap, Ufi, Tectone, everyone works incredibly hard on the content that they make and are posting regularly. I know a lot of people think that content creation is super easy. There was that whole argument about like, you know, streamers not having actually like a hard time in doing that, but having the discipline to post regularly, create content regularly, and get it out there for your entertainment to be criticized and looked at by large populations of people is a lot. I'm not saying it's the hardest job ever, no, but it is a lot to do. And I really have a newfound respect for all of them. In particular, Tectone. Now, a lot of people like to give Tectone flack for a myriad of reasons. He gets called some pretty horrific names online. I'm sure if you followed him for any amount of time, you will have seen some of those names that have been thrown at him. And now, having spent multiple days with him, in person, I can say one thing for certain. He is not any of those things that I've seen anybody call him. Like, he's been called like, I don't want to even say them to avoid demonetization, but he's been called like some of those horrific names that have been put out there, and he's not. Look, Tectone didn't even really know me going into this week. He wasn't really familiar with my content or even everyone else's content there. And yet he treated us all the same. There was not this air of like superiority of like no one deserved to be there. There was never this expectation or feeling of like, why did you come? Like, what's going on? Everyone was treated with the same level of respect and encouragement the whole time. And he was encouraging people in their content about what they should do, posting more consistently, things to focus on, directions to go in. And he was offering that all for free and encouraging everybody in their journey in doing so. And I really hope he does come back to content creation soon, because I have really missed his content. As somebody who's watched his content for well over 5 years now, I really took a lot of enjoyment in being able to spend that time with him, to learn from him and to see how he operates and does things. Now, of course, were there times where, you know, some of us were following him around, like a little bit of like an entourage going around like the round one? Yeah, of course. But I don't think that's because of content. I think that's because he's a 6'6" giant who's like 230 pounds of muscle. Like, I don't know if it fully translates always into content. Like, Mans is huge and he's like getting cut. So like, mad respect for Tectone and the work that he's been putting in, like physically and for like his fitness. He went out and did a workout with Saint and Amethyst, and he was really putting them through it. So I you know, he's put a lot of work in, and I really respect that on every level. So how are these content creators not who you think they are? There's a lot of worry that people think like, oh, the persona that they put in their content is they're very different behind the scenes, or they're all a-holes behind the scenes. Like, no, a lot of these creators I had never met in person ever. And it was nothing but an awesome week and getting to spend time together. And I now consider everyone there who would reciprocate, I would consider them close friends. And if any of them ever needed anything, they can reach out to me anytime. And I feel incredibly lucky and blessed to be able to go and spend that week with everybody. They're already talking about booking another trip, but it's crazy. I don't know if this GAcha trip round 2 actually ends up happening. That I better get grinding to be able to afford to go, because the places that they're talking about going is kind of crazy. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe, because who knows what's gonna happen in the future. But we back, baby. We back to content. We're gonna be doing more in the future. One thing I do want to add in addition to all of this is this has really inspired me to kind of make some changes to the channel. I'm going to be moving this channel into whatever direction I darn well please. I'm going to start reacting to whatever I want to. I'm going to start talking about whatever I want to talk about, because this has now just started to become more of a passion project for me and something that I enjoy doing. So I'm not going to be hard locked to the GAcha space. I'll probably still talk about some of the games, but I'm not going to be making myself exclusive to that anymore. I'm going to be talking about the content that I want to talk about, and I'm just going to enjoy it. So if you want to come along with me and doing that and getting back into this content, I appreciate that. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe. That would be great. If you don't want to do that, you've already waited this far in the video, make sure to just like it anyway, because that still helps. So I would still appreciate that. But that's going to be it for this one, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.